Hi everyone, I'm Glenn Flair from Boardgames and Bourbon. Right now we are going to talk about Sailing Towards Osiris by Daily Magic Games, which I gotta tell you is a modern day classic. This game I think is going to have long legs and be around for a long time to come. The reason why is that I consider it to be a real hobby game, okay? Now, I know we're in an era of gaming where anything you could release Go Fish and it would be called a hobby game. But this truly is because it gives attention to the areas that a person who has a lot of games is really going to appreciate. Number one, and if I'm going to list some details, number one, the attention to detail is pervasive and throughout. From the design and the craftsmanship, they're wood blocks, but the pieces in the game are fantastic. The art in the board, the box, even the insert, all have attention to detail. And it is one of the elements that makes the game great to interact with. Two, the rule set, although there's a lot to do, it is easy to grasp. The instructions are well written, and it's a game where what you're going to do the game is really only limited by your creativity in making it happen, okay? And then lastly, it provides you with decisions and choices that are fully under your control. It even gives you the option to gamble in the game if you want. And that's to say there's a part of the game, especially later in it when you're going to play it, where you have to decide, okay, am I playing smart or am I playing to win? And that is a fabulous thing. So let me show you what the game operates like, and I'll talk about it while I do that. Okay, everyone, so this is the board for Sailing Towards Osiris, which I think is just a wonderful, beautiful board to look at. And what I have on top of this is the pieces you're going to get, the barge that's moving through the game, a little player aid that also hides what you're doing yourself, resources, and something called city cards, okay? And I'm going to explain what's happening. So what are you trying to do in this game? Well, the point of this game is you are now in the competition to be the new pharaoh. And what has happened is the previous one has passed away, rest his soul, and he's moving through the river here. And he's moving through in one of 4 seasons. He's moving through season 1, and season 1 ends right there. And then he'll move through season 2, season 3, and then finally season 4. And what you're going to do to honor him is you're going to try to build all of these monuments, either a pylon, a sphinx, or an obelisk, okay? And the way you get those onto the board is by placing workers that you're going to get. And I have an example here. Let's say this is my starting hand. I have all these monuments I'm trying to build. I get a few starting resources: stone, brick, wheat, and then you get, depending on player count, you get some workers. Some workers, like this gray one, can only go to gray areas for stone. This one for wheat can only go to wheat areas. And this one here is a red one, so they can go to red brick areas. And your workers can only go into the season where the barge is. So, for example, the barge is here, so your workers can only go there unless you are a master worker and you're wearing a skirt. And then you can go anywhere in the game at all, okay? So, okay, and how does a turn work? And how do you build these things, okay? So, depending on player counts, you're going to grab some of these pieces out of a bag. Voila. Okay, you grab it. And then once everyone goes around, you're going to take some extra leftover workers, you put it over here. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to take your turn until you have nothing left to do. And there's a number of things. You're going to do one, the person next to you does another one, and then so on and so forth, depending. Okay, so the first thing you can do in this game when you play is you can harvest resources. So what do? So if these are all your pieces and they're behind your little blinder there, you're going to take your worker and you can either put them in a spot for 2 resources, or you could kind of split the difference, and that would actually give you 4 resources like that, okay? And when you do that, you take them over here and you put them behind your shelf, okay? You can visit a city, and what does that mean? Well, on the board, we have these little city locations you can go to. You can take your worker and you can put them in a city, and that is not dependent on the season. And when you do it, you're going to grab one of these city cards. And these city cards are pretty cool because you have the option of either getting resources you might need, or you can do a special power that's really helpful. You can save them for the future. You can do them now. It won't really matter, but you activate them on your next turn, okay? That kind of, even though it's a purposeful decision, it kind of adds a gambling element, because there's going to be moments in the game where you're like, oh boy, I really need some resources. Let me go for it and let me get that card. Okay, so that's kind of useful there. You can also join a caravan. And what does that mean? Okay, so in the case here, you would take your worker And this little area here that's yellow, these are called caravans. I could put my worker there, and then I would bring a camel with me to it to indicate that I was the leader of the caravan. And when I do that, I can either take the bottom resource or the top resource. Here, I'd get 3 wheat and 2 brick, or here I'd get 2 stone and 1 brick. It's up to me, depending on what I need. The next person to go to that caravan can get the other available spot, but they must give me one of those resources. So going there is advantageous, and that's really great. You can also hire an extra labor if you need. And what you would do is you take one of your resources, you would pay any 2 resources, any mix, and take any of these workers, okay? Maybe you need, a brick. Maybe you want a master worker, which is always a great thing to do. Now, you can get anything you want, but you have to use all your workers within the season. That's really the only caveat there, okay? But it's always good to get extra help. You can trade in the market, and this is the marketplace. And as you can see as I do this, there's really endless things to do. You can put 2 wheat in and get a stone, or you can put 1 stone and 2 wheat, 2 brick for 2 wheat, a stone and a brick for 3, or 4 wheat for 2 stone. And once it's used up, it's blocked and other people can't use it, okay? Just for that season. Okay. Now what you can do is you can plan a monument. What does that mean? Well, behind your blinder, you've been collecting resources. And now what you can do is you can try to build a monument of some sort. You can either build a obelisk, which takes relatively few resources. Like, for example, this one takes 2 stone, 3 brick, and 1 wheat. If you actually build it and you place it successfully, you're going to get 2 points. And it tells you down here where you can place it. You can place it in an area that's only has 2 wheat, 2 brick, or 2 stone written on it. So, for example, you could put it here because that's 2. You could not put it here because that says 3. That's not one of the conditions. You could also do the Sphinx. It takes more, but you get 4 points. You could build a pylon. That's worth 7, but it's definitely going to take you longer. And where you can place it is reduced. It needs to be on a spot with 3 wheat, or you have to place it in a city, okay? Next, you can actually play a city card from your hand, okay? And that is putting the card down. You can build your monument and actually place your monument if you want. So let's say I built this pylon previously. In between, I took a turn and I got a city card. It's back to me. Now I'm going to place it. Boom, I'm going to put it right here because what that does is it now prevents people from getting city cards in the future. So sometimes there's, preventative moves that you're going to do as well. Another thing in the game is that there's a thing called the boon cards. And the boon cards are cool because they're like little extra powers that you can play. But here's the trick to it. When you use it, it's totally out of the game forever. And when you play it in a certain round, it prevents anyone else from playing the same card in that round. So for example, it says here, I can take 1 worker of my choice from the drawback. So if I needed a worker, but I didn't want to spend resources and no one else played this card, I could play it first, look in the bag, draw the kind of worker I want, and then, implement it. What's another one? I'll just give you 2 because I want you to discover some of the fun things on your own. Here, move 1 worker from the map to the labor pool and then take another action. Well, what does that mean? Well, for example, here was my brick worker. Let's say it's there. I can play that card and says I can put this back, and then I can take another action, and then I could buy this worker. So I not only got this out of the way, so maybe I can go back there, but I got a master worker in my hand. So you can see that there's a lot of things to do. You can also barter with other people should you want, but there's also a final bonus here, which is if you are the first person to withdraw from a season, you get a benefit. You can either get a point and a brick, or a city card and a stone, 3 stones, 4 bricks, 5 wheat. You get that, and then that bonus, boom, is blocked out forever. No one else can use that benefit, and then you become the first person in the game. And what that means is you get to choose what your pieces are. You get to take your turn first. Also, you have the benefit of looking in the bag to see what's left in there. So you can see as you're going on, you're building these cities. You're seemingly endless. And if you know how to take this, trade that in, build that thing, get that thing there, there's a lot going on. Now, let's go back to this player aid, because there's also going to be end game scoring, okay, and some really cool conditions in here. So right here, what it's telling you is even though you're building things, you're getting 2 points for your obelisk or 7 for your pylon. If you get 3 monuments in a row, so let's just say here, here, and here, something like that, you'd get 2 points for each set of 3, 2 additional points. If you got 4 monuments in one season, so let's say this season here, and I got 4 monuments there, I'd get 3. That's fantastic. But wait, there is more. If I was the first person to build all 4 of my obelisk, I'd get an additional point. If I did my Sphinx, I'd get 2. And if I built both of my pylons, I'd get an additional 2 points. And you do that at the end. My goodness me, there are so many ways to score in this game. It is fantastic. There has not been one single person I have introduced this to who did not play it enthusiastically and want to play it again without any hesitation. I think this is a classic. To me, this is Stone Age without the infuriating die rolls. It is gorgeous in the eyes. It feels great in the hand. Like everything Daily Magic does, it is top notch. They're continually impressing me. This one gets a big thumbs up. I really, really encourage you to get it, okay? Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.